There's a lot of buzz about AI. New developers are scared of jobs not being there. What's your view on this?
Yes, the number of the jobs will reduce, but it is not going to be like completely eliminated.
I have a theory specifically for this. People start using AI more. We will definitely see a rise in cybersecurity jobs.
I joined Oracle Server Technology, and there I started working in Samsung phones.
You were working at Walmart as an SD2.
SD3.
What skills do you specifically need to learn for receiving a promotion?
To be a good coder, how will you write a simple code? That is more important. There was a new initiative in Myntra which is called the Vorta platform. Like, this is the most technologically advanced project that I worked. So
tell me more about it. I'm interested now.
So
did you notice any cultural differences when you moved from Samsung to Walmart to Myntra?
in the Walmart and Myntra, the more freedom is given to you. Then I joined with Grow. I think the best decision.
No, someone to just continue as an individual contributor, or do I need to pick up managerial skill? I am asking it as a personal question.
Managerial skill definitely required to grow in your career.
What are the 3 things that you did in your career that you regret today? Hello. Welcome to today's episode of Making Sense. I'm your host Sudeep. And if you're a developer, you wouldn't want to miss this video. And on today's episode, we have Shailendra joining us. Hi Shailendra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. And I have around 12 years of industry experience, starting my journey as a backend developer, now being an engineering manager. I would like to share my experience. Hopefully my experience and also my failure, success, right, that would be helping you.
Starting off right with a question. What basically got you into development, and what made you get into development?
Yeah, it's been a long time, right? This is around 12 plus, I think 16 years back.
Wow.
I was passed out from a school, and post that, like, what I wanted to do, right? And being in a small town, right, you don't have that clarity that what you actually wanted to do. Especially nowadays, people are a lot aware in the school, in the curriculum, right? There's a lot of focus that what you wanted to do. At least in that time, or maybe it was just only me, that I didn't have that clarity, right? And after what other people are doing, along with it, I just went with the flow. I thought of, okay, engineering, let's do the engineering.
But I guess उस टाइम पे तो सब लोग मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग में बहुत जाते थे.
I think yes, this is common sharing, at least for my generation. And so how we came into the engineering, right, that interest, how it came. We were watching Discovery and a lot of the things about the machines and all, right? Then we started building this interest. Okay, engineering is something that excites you. So when I was going for like counseling in the college, it was like I went to the counseling place with the mindset, okay, I'm going for the mechanical engineering. This is something like you even didn't know what are the other branches, what are the specifications, right?
Right.
Now, when I reached there, the other people, what I was saying, like the people that in front of me, out of 5 people, like 4 are taking IT. Then I thought, is it that exciting? And first time I was even seeing the computer when I went for the counseling. So that also like excited me a lot, of wiring and the internet connection, like, and then so I thought, let's go with IT. So that was like within around 15-20 minutes, I just decided, okay, this is, and to be honest, right, I didn't even think that much that how it gonna impact my life overall. It was just like, okay, let's get it done, finding a job, right? That is something like, that was the mindset that time.
So basically you went with the flow at the time.
Yes.
Right. And which college did you graduate
from? So I did my engineering from a government college, which was like when I was choosing a college, right? That was one of the criteria that I wanted to look for the government college, because obviously the fees was lesser in that time. And so I did my engineering from Indira Gandhi Government Engineering College, which is in the Sagar. So it's a small place in MP. Dr. Hari Singh Gaur, if you might have heard, there is a university, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur University, and like this engineering college was there. So that was one criteria, that I wanted to go for the government college, and the second one is I went for the mechanical, but then ultimately I end up choosing IT.
Nice. Like, what was the environment there in the college? Like, was there a environment that encouraged you to pursue something out of what's defined in the curriculum? Or
Right. I think by that time, IT or the computer science, that was just evolving. So when I was passing out from the college, right, that time, like the focus on the programming or like how you will build an end-to-end system, these things were not there. Later on, I think the triple IT comes, right, and the curriculum also in the colleges has changed, like which is more practical now. That time it is more of like kind of the research base, take it as a science, like the computer network, and mostly focus on these kind of the subjects, right? Especially it might depends on the college to college also, the kind of the atmosphere that you have around. And then when I passed 2009-10, by that time it was the recession time, right? To be honest, I was not even that aware that what is the recession, what is the what would be the impact of it. Ultimately, after college, I had to make a decision. Okay, now where to go? In my college, like it was a small college. There was not much of the placements that time. Mostly the people were coming to Bangalore or Delhi to find out a job. And then I had this question whether I should go to Bangalore now. I asked myself, am I ready? Is somebody going to pay me based on my skills that I have? So I evaluated myself, and then I thought maybe not the right time. That one thing is obviously the recession, like the job market is already down, and the second, do I have the skills? So then I ended up choose for MTech. I went for masters. Then it was happening through the gate. I wrote that exam, and then I got in NIT Allahabad.
nice, NIT Allahabad.
Yes.
So, were there any differences that you noticed from government college for your BTech and for masters?
Yes. I think that's a good question. And to be honest, that helped me more to build my confidence that it is not like somebody is exceptionally well to get a job into the IT or the in the computer science. Most of the people what I found there were like me. That helped me to come out of that underconfidence that I don't have those skills. The people were like me only, the normal people, right? It is not somebody like who is a very hardcore coder and they can do like a problem solve, right? Just anything like a lot of, right, red black tree and graph and all that, right? Ultimately that actually helped me, and there was not much. Another point, which is like when I was thinking, okay, my college is not good, right? I didn't acquire those skills here. And when I landed into the NIT Allahabad, what I found is the only difference is the student there, their mindset, the alumni culture, right? The lot of the resources which is being passed from the alumni.
Right.
So that was the only difference. Otherwise, in terms of teaching quality, in terms of the resources, there was not much of difference.
When you say mindset, what exactly do you mean? As in,
So there people know, right? The student know that what they wanted to do. For example, when somebody lands into the NIT Allahabad from the first year, they will start preparing for the placement. Ultimately, that is the end goal. Right. So obviously acquiring knowledge that is there, but ultimately what you wanted to do for this, the preparation, right? A side track is running. Students are working on a lot of the side projects, and then they are getting prepared. Okay, which kind of the companies, what they ask, what are they looking for? That was the difference. And one thing, there was one booklet. I think Geeks for Geeks just started by that time, right?
Achha.
Which was like the Bible for the computer science students, right? And Lead Code, I think, was very, very early stage. Now, like it is kind of like you cannot, right?
Yeah, it's overexpanded.
Yeah, there is no end at all.
Yeah.
That time, mostly monthly challenges were coming. Apart from the Geeks for Geeks, there was one booklet that was prepared by some old students in the NIT Allahabad. It was having around 500 pages for everybody who is going for the placement. Get a copy of it, and in fact, one photocopy shop which was outside, he has made the photocopies of it ready. You just go pay and get it done. You just go through it, and then you would be considering, okay, that you are serious about the placements.
It's usually the Xerox guy is making the most
Yes.
amount of money.
Right. Yep.
And what was that booklet about, as in what details?
It was covering mostly the compilation of the old questions, right? The companies have asked. So that person was like who initiated it. He was in the placement cell. He was compiling all the questions that companies are asking, what kind of, and just a note of like how many interviews they are having, what kind of the question they are asking. Ultimately, then year on year, a lot of the things get compiled, and then like you just get ultimately there is a limited set of questions, right? And also when you are practicing it, right, you get a little bit of the sense that what they might be asking. So that was helpful.
Right. Got it. So currently when a student is graduating, right, I see that there's a difference in mindset now. We tend to learn as many languages as possible, as many technologies as possible. What was the situation back then? I doubt that there were as many JS frameworks out there back then.
That's true. So yes, like even in the colleges, right, when we go for the campus hiring or when we are doing the internship hiring, right, then the student tend to mention a lot of the technologies, right, a lot of the languages that they have worked. In fact, just to try out their hands, right, they try to front end, back end, and then on the machine learning, data science, Python, Java, Go, every kind of the languages. I don't think so now, at least. I don't think so that's important. The importance is know the fundamentals, right? Any language, I don't think so it will take more than 2 months for just to learn it. Your fundamentals should be there. Apart from that, maybe for the developers, the OOPS concept, right? If you know them well, and mostly the design patterns, right? We talk about them. I think it comes through the common sense. If you are working on a code base, and after that, after 2 months, if you revisit it, you will find out, oh, there is a scope of the optimization improvement that I can do. You can simplify it. We can represent. You will end up making some design pattern. Right. Only the thing is, if you know it in advance, in the first iteration itself, you will be using it.
Got it.
So it is common, right? That lot of the tech stack is there, lot of the different kind of the things that you wanted to try it out, what the industry demands right now. Mostly it is about, and nowadays, right, maybe the value of, right, which language that is reducing, because ultimately a lot of the resources are available for the coding. So it is more about the engineering and the fundamentals of programming.
Right. I wanted to specifically highlight this point because there's this favorite website of mine that says new days since new JavaScript framework. It's always set to 0 because every day a new framework comes out, and the web tech is always evolving. So I think staying grounded to fundamentals and learning about it would be the right choice to go for anyone who's an upcoming engineer.
Totally. Yes.
And coming to how did you start your career, as in after entering to NIT?
Yep. So from the college placement, I joined Oracle Server Technology. The office was in Kormangla. So like it was a nice place.
What year was this?
This was 2012. Yeah.
So no work from home culture.
No work from home culture at all. The first thing what was there, at least for the joining, they were giving the flight tickets. So that was pretty much exciting. Yeah, to be honest, right, I think even the flight culture was not there. It was just coming up, and then at least this was for the elite group, right? By that time, it is now pretty much common, but it was not the same like 10 years back. So I ended up joining Oracle Server Technology, and there I was part of a project which was the enterprise service scheduling, which is Fusion middleware in Oracle.
Mhm.
Thomas Kurian, he was leading that project, and nowadays he is the Google Clouds. He's managing the Google Cloud.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So that guy, like, I had a chance to meet him around 2 times. He was based in US. He was visiting Bangalore. 2 times I met him, and to be honest, right, that guy is like, he will remember almost what are the bugs, what are the tickets. He will remember by, like, the Jira tickets we have. He will remember by numbers. So that was yeah. Then though, to be honest, like, it was not very learning experience for me. For quite some time I was just trying to find my place. Okay, how the industry is working, what is the expectation out of me as a developer. Then some of the small PRs that we were raising, right, maybe hardly in my, when I was working some of the startup, right, how much I would be contributing in a month, maybe I might have contributed in a year with Oracle.
Oh, so the contribution phase was
It is not a company. Maybe the new people, right, who is coming out of the colleges, I would advise try to go with the startups. A learning experience is much better as compared to this established company. If you go such established company, right, there's a completely different work culture. Their expectations are different from you. Obviously, they want the mature developers, mature approach. But for the learners initially, right, you will learn more when you make mistakes. Right?
exactly.
That scope is not there. There is a lot of the guidance, and obviously the velocity is very less than, which is directly proportional to what you are learning. So there, one thing, like, I met with some of the amazing people there. My manager, who was Srijit, he was like nowadays also he is very, very active. He was a marathon runner. And now also, like, this Olympic 2024, right? He went to the Paris, and the same course where the actually the marathon has happened in the real Olympic, they have taken that route. So, like, he's very active person. He is like, he's still an Oracle, and he's like more of athletic thing, right? So you will get a lot of opportunities if you have some other side interest, right, and you want to do time for that. For such people, I think it is good place. And but for the initially who is starting up their career, I think the maybe a smaller company, the startup, that would give the good opportunity.
So for someone expecting a good work-life balance, I guess a little more life oriented than work oriented, for them an established organization is something they should be looking for.
Your priority keep changing along with, right, in the life. Something that you were enthusiastic about, something that you want to work, you want to pursue it, right? Everything comes with a price tag. That price might not be the in cash you are paying. It might be the time that you are putting, efforts that you are putting, right? And if you are enthusiastic about building the career, learning a lot of things, then I think you have to pay that price. And maybe the right place is like the startups.
So accelerating your growth, startups.
Yes.
As you mentioned that in Oracle, you were not working as much as you wish to. What changes did you take after that?
Yeah. So when I realized, okay, this is not something, right, there is not enough learning opportunities. I start some side projects. That was in 2014. Android was in the market. Android was a buzzword right that time. Lot of opportunities Android side. So I started working on a side project which is like learning Android by myself. I created a application which is called the Hangman game, right?
Okay,
so that Hangman game is like for kind of the puzzles that you will ask,
you
and
get
then
certain letters with dashes in between. Correct. And a series of letters which might go in.
So there's a lot of the versions are available. We wanted to do is something like multiple segments in it, right? Mathematical puzzles, and then the other kind of the engineering puzzles and everything. And then you just have to make a guess. We will keep giving you some clues about it. So that was the application we uploaded on the Play Store, and like there was around 1800 some downloads were there.
Interesting.
That gave me opportunity to move to my next role. So for all that time, like in India or in the Bangalore, Android developers were very less. And
An interesting question. Currently, if I want to learn something new, right, I always run to YouTube to watch a video. Someone has covered a tutorial on it. I rarely tend to go to documentation. It's a pain to go the documentation and learn. What was your process? I don't imagine that there was a YouTube video specifying that this is how you learn Android.
True. Because it was new and also those many resources were not available. But yes, I think Udemy was there. Udemy just started.
Udemy was...
Yeah. If I'm able to recall correctly, I think Udemy was there and that helped me to take a course. From there, I started learning and resources were there, limited, but yes, and obviously the documentation, right? I think the Android documentation was also good enough because they knew, right, this is the new community that they are building. So ultimately, they have given some of the good resources to practice it yourself. Like some of the demo projects, you can do it in that way. So
I guess the same culture Android was primarily Google, right? So I think the same culture they have implemented in Flutter as well, because when I went to learn Flutter, there's a lot of projects that they have already defined that this is what you're going to be building.
I think that community building, Google knows it pretty well.
I think they've nailed the developer relationship part.
So ultimately they know, right? One is the end user, but the end user is not their direct customer, right? This is the developers that who would be demanding, okay, I'm more comfortable with this technology. Maybe the required resources are available for the technology. And then you will end up, okay, I will go with it.
Nice.
So yeah, from there, like then Samsung was like closely working with Google for the Android phones, and they organized one conference in Bangalore, and like some of the engineers like who was working on the Android technology, they invited us. There I met with few people from the Samsung, and then they asked me, would you be interested joining with us? And then I took that role, and there I started working. In Samsung phones, there is a browser comes. The name is very unique. If you can make a guess, it is called Internet. So very intuitive. Like nobody. Obviously, the phones were picking up by that time, right? So the browser name should be Internet.
Yeah.
So we started working on that project. There, like the tab manager. Initial versions, the tab manager was like normal. You will take a screenshot of your tab, and that would be there, which is called the cart layout or something like that. Then we started working optimization of that. Like the experience was not that good. So we, me and one more my colleague, we worked on a project which is called the stack-based tab manager, which was still coming in the Samsung phones, in the Samsung browser.
When I look for the tabs, I think the tab stack
on
top of each other.
Yes, and then the swipe experience was quite good. You can very fast you can swipe up, right? And then like on the high end devices specifically, that was very, very good experience. Like in a single scroll you can go up, down, and that was good.
How does it feel that your code is still a part of a very prominent feature in Samsung?
I think that's what, right? The impact that you wanted to see. Like you need not to explain to the people as a software engineer what are you doing. You can tell them, okay, check in your phone that this is something that I have worked, right? So for software engineer, at least by that time, it was pretty difficult, right? My family members, my extended family members, they will ask, what are you doing in Samsung? Are you packing phones?
Yeah, it is usually pretty hard to explain.
Right.
I used to...
How is it now? Like, is it changing?
No, still the same. I used to work for a company called Pepper Content. It's a startup based in Mumbai. Whenever I used to tell my parents it's a startup and it's called Pepper Content, my mom still calls it Pepper Fry because she has seen a lot of ads. Pepper Fry furniture company, basically. And it's still pretty hard to explain what I do. And when I used to sit in front of a computer, I have been learning development since I was a kid, right? So me sitting in front of a computer, it's always that I'm playing a game on computer, and my dad used to always yell at me, and it's too hard to make him understand what it is.
Right. I think, so then it's still the same.
Yeah, it's still the same.
Yeah. So let's move forward with Samsung. Like one thing is like I worked on this, which was the good part, and apart from that, like I want to share this. That so we take it right. The Samsung iPhones are pretty costly as compared to some of these Chinese counterpart. There is a reason behind it. Like in 2014, we were working on the foldable devices, which came to the market by 2021.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So
Wow, it's been
It
in
is
been under
kind
development
of
for so long.
around 7-8 years back, right? And by the time like I ended joining there, they might be working on the technology, right? We were working on the software part, maybe on the technology part they might be working even a decade back.
Yeah.
So they are spending lot of money on the innovation, on the technology. Then obviously like they are the market leaders, right? And they obviously ultimately they wanted to make profit out of it. So it makes sense to like obviously these phones would be costlier. I remember 2-3 things that like one thing is in Samsung, the security was too high. Because of this, like they don't want it to their patented technology, it should not go out in the market. So you cannot bring your device at home. Device, I mean your laptop. It would be in the office only. So one good part is like you need not to work from home. You are not expected to do that. But then you have to stay 9 hours in office.
9 hours.
So it was like the policy is like you have to punch in. If you are short by 15 minutes also, right, that would be considered as a half day leave. So
Wow.
yeah.
I guess it's like a double-edged sword then.
Yes, it seems like the alien thing nowadays, but yes, that was there. Another thing, there was one more unique culture, which is you have to take a test every 3 months, which is like competitive programming kind of the test you have to take. It is for everybody from the software engineer to the VP, and it is mandatory. You have to pass it in 2 attempts. And
Even the VP has to.
even the VP has to take it, right?
Interesting.
And for the engineers, it is okay because they are working day and night on the code, right? They can do it very easily. But somebody who is in the managerial position for a long time, how they will pass? So we used to make a mockery. Okay, this guy failed. This guy failed. But
I mean,
now,
people used to fail, as in people at VP position.
obviously, because they are not in touch of this competitive programming, right? And maybe if you ask me now to take the test, I might not be able to do it because the role demands some other skills, right? And maybe that was actually the company's fault, right? That what kind of the culture they wanted to build.
And are they still doing it?
I'm not sure. I hope they not doing it. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. At least for everybody, it is like the different kind of the skills every role required, then you should expect that only. Yeah, but good thing is while working in the Samsung, right, I visited Korea, South Korea, which is the headquarter for Samsung.
Nice.
And that was like a good experience.
Was there any culture shock?
Not cultural shock, but yes, few things. Some facts, right? In Korea, everybody that after doing the lunch, everybody would be brushing their teeth. So it is okay, like everybody would be having a toothbrush. By that time, they were having this electric toothbrush. Everybody is having on their desk. And then after doing the lunch, everybody will go to the washroom, brush their teeth and come back.
Wow.
So actually, I spent around 1.5 months there. So we had that FOMO, how these people are judging us. Shall we also start doing this?
And did you end up doing it?
No. There is food difference also, right? We in Korea, I think our Indian food is available. There are a lot of the restaurants which is started by mostly Bangladeshi and the Pakistani people, and complete country is fond of like this chicken. The roasted chicken that we have, right? It is like everybody enjoy it. It is kind of like you will find it almost everywhere. So food is not a problem.
I guess you were also a non-vegetarian, so it might be hard for vegetarians, I guess.
Actually, the vegetarians is also available. We used to call it chica or something. At least that was the first word that we remember there. And if you ask them, okay, I want the vegetarian food only, they won't even give you the milk, because the milk also they consider in the non-vegetarian, because ultimately it is an animal byproduct, right? So they will be amazed, oh, you are okay to take milk? Yeah, yes, give us.
I guess they confuse between vegan and vegetarian.
Yes. So another fun fact is, like, for like it is for them, if they consider it, if your toes are visible, right? If your feet, if somebody see your feet in the morning, like, it is a bad omen for them. So they are very, very particular about it. I have seen, like, some people that who were with us, and then, like, we are okay, right? We prefer to be casual, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes sleepers or the sandals, this is okay. So, but then the guard itself said, no, go back. We won't allow you to go inside.
And were there any differences when it comes to engineering mindset?
I think we were from the completely, like, they were relying, or they were using the Bangalore Development Center as a software development only, and mostly about the hardware development and everything that was in the Korea, in their headquarters. So mostly to actually work on such kind of devices, right, which is not coming into the market, the people used to visit there. That time they had, nowadays we can like measure the frame rate in the software itself, right, in the phone itself. By default, the application is available. They have very pretty high definition camera. It was in a dark room. You have to take a special permission to go into that. It was like very costly device that time. And if what it is having just only the 3 cameras, and they were using to measure the frame rate.
For the lack of developer tools, they were compensating with the high quality camera. Wow.
Yeah.
And any specific experience that you found funny?
It's a to be honest, it's a beautiful country. You can, and I think South Korea, North Korea, right, that war started, and after that South Korea was very, very closely connected with US, and that difference you can see on their culture also. Like, one side there is the pop culture, another side there is a funny fact, like, there is a what it is called, the cute industry in South Korea. For everything you will find the cute version. For example, for the fonts, if you want that cover, there would be pretty much cute covers are available.
Yeah, the one with the ears.
Yes. For, in fact, like, for the hardware things, right, there's the cute versions are available. Shoes also, the cute versions are available. For everything, like, the complete country is, I think that is there in DNA, that for everything they wanted to end up creating a cute version.
I guess they pay a lot of detail towards aesthetics.
That reflects in their, like, if you see, right, some of the Korean content that is coming nowadays, I think Train to Busan and Parasite movie, right, and then this one Squid Games, you can see that, right, mostly that cuteness will reflect in their behavior.
Nice.
Yeah, from that cuteness, right, something that is man-made, something I think by nature itself. There we found there are, like, some pretty very small sized dogs were available, right? And then,
how small?
Like, it is like you can put it on palm, and I think those are called the teacup dogs or Korean pomegranate, something like that. But the full size was like this, and they were so cute. Like, I literally wanted to, like, bring one with me, but, like, it is not allowed. But even if I get a chance, right, I'm not a dog person, right? I don't prefer to have a pet in home. But if I get a chance to get the dog, I think I will do it that.
So I and Shivam had this dog incident reminded me. I and Shivam had visited Vietnam. I guess Vietnam also borrows a little bit of culture from the Southeast Asian countries. There was a girl carrying a bag which had a transparent dome back on the back of it, and we could see a dog. I and Shivam initially thought that it was a doll, but it was very alive and breathing, and we were, like, so surprised.
True.
And okay, we took a very long detour. Coming back to India.
Yes.
At Samsung, how long did you work for?
So overall, around a year I was there. 2 times I visited Korea, worked on this project. Apart from that, one more project like the Samsung Galaxy devices, Samsung Galaxy application, which was specifically for the Samsung users. Like we can provide them the coupons specifically. So that work we just started, and then I realized, okay, maybe I'm not enjoying just only limiting to the front end development, mostly because of like the maybe the skill challenges are not there, right? And being working in such applications, right, you are not getting a chance to connecting with the actual customers, right? So that mindset was missing. Hence, like one of my colleague who moved from Samsung to Walmart was just starting up their office in Bangalore, which is called the Walmart Labs. So first she went there, and then I asked her for the referral, and then I ended up like in their team.
Was it an R&D position? Because Walmart Labs sounds like
there is no correlation. It is just a fancy name. We were working like it was labs because I think Walmart was outsourcing everything before that. TCS, I think they were working for their projects. Ultimately, they started creating their own software wing. So that's why I think they called it labs. There I worked, like that was the good part, right? Being part of a bigger organization, right? That you have the financial security and everything. And then you are working on a project from the starting, from the scratch. So I was part of a team. We started from the scratch, and that project was like we built it for the store managers in Walmart. That time around 4,000 stores were there in the US and Canada. That was helping the store manager to do the markdown, which is like put the inventory on the discounts. Let's say the winter cloth you wanted to clear by December end, because like otherwise there would be dead inventory, right? You don't want to keep in your inventory for the next year. So they will come up with the discount. We were helping them that based on the data in the historical data, that what items you might be ending up having a dead inventory, and for them how you should start with, like what should be the initial discount that you should start with, and what is your timelines. We will meet that timeline with the minimum financial impact. For example, every day we will check your inventory, how is your how it is going, and accordingly maybe next day from 5% to 10% or maybe to the 3% we will adjust it.
Nice. So basically, you specified end date by when you wish to clear out your inventory, and there was an algorithm that you guys had developed, which was specifically setting discounts on certain.
Correct.
And there was no manual intervention.
No manual intervention. Like initially, we will take some parameters based on this. Like every day, it will keep adjusting, but ultimately, in Walmart, the prices when it hits to the stores, it depends on the store manager. Every day they will be accepting the prices. Does it look good? And then they will apply. And Walmart has this philosophy of like everyday low prices, and literally it is. You need not to ask, like there are the multiple source of the price coming, right? One is they have this inventory was in HANA, and then there are some other projects, right, from
HANA
there.
isn't?
So that is the database, like they were using it for their catalog management and the inventory. Apart from that, like there are some other systems where are also the prices, and then ultimately you need not to ask anybody that which prices I need to take. You can just put in your system that whatever is lower prices, just take it.
As you mentioned that this project, you were given an opportunity to start from scratch. So were you given a free hand to select the technology stack, or was it in the hands of the senior that was guiding the project?
Yes. By that time, like I was just starting my career as a backend developer, right? So I didn't have the chance to choose the tech stack, but yes, I was involved in the POCs that we are trying it out multiple things, and like the different people will be picking a few things, and based on the pros and cons, then we will be choosing some tech stack. So mostly the architects were taking that call, but yes, we were closely involved with them.
Nice. Even if it's a large scale company, you still had that exposure to the process that goes behind choosing a tech.
Sorry, come again.
So even if Walmart is such a large scale company, even then you had the opportunity to play a part in what tech was being chosen.
Yes, I think that depends on the teams also, right? The team that you are working, how much is the free hand or the accountability ownership that you are getting, right? That you can choose up to some extent. You always have that freedom that it is about, right? You need to build the best argument that, okay, why this is the right choice. So mostly we might be considering like, I wanted to go with this particular technology, as we do in the system design, right? There is no perfectly right design. It depends on the context, it depends on the particular constraints that you are building the system for. So but yes, like the development team get the opportunity to choose their tech stack, but when the company matures, I think then pretty much few things get standardized, right? That is because we don't want to create a lot of diversity, and hence, like, at least few basic things are almost there that you have to use. For example, in Walmart, Cassandra was by default system or the database that we were using. Obviously the people has chosen it based on their experience, but then when you are starting a new project, you need not to rediscover or invent the wheel. You can take it up.
Got it. So there were certain tech that were tried and tested.
Yes.
And they were being passed to new projects that were being
Correct.
started. Nice. And this was a back-end developer role, right?
Yes.
And you were a front-end developer at
That's correct.
Samsung. So as you can see in the current situation, if if you take an example, I have been boxed into a front-end role ever since ever since I've started working. Even though I can do back-end, but there aren't many opportunities that I get. So was it a different time back then because of which you got an opportunity to try out different roles, or was there something that you did differently that got you into a back-end role?
To be honest, I have that enthusiasm that, okay, I wanted to try it out, right? When I was working with the Oracle, and then I try out myself. I work on the side project, right? Learn Android. And when I was working in Samsung, then I wanted to try out my hand with the backend, right? So I was doing on some of the side project, learning it. Though by that time, the fortunately, right, that was the booming time. A lot of demand was there in the market. So almost if you can crack the interview, you will get the opportunities. That was the thing. But ultimately, even now, a relevant maybe the advice, what I would say, what the people do, right? I'm seeing the cases, right? In my team, the people are approaching me, okay, that I am get bored with it, or I'm not I wanted to try out something else. Can you give me that opportunity? For them, as I mentioned, right? First of all, you have to pay the price by yourself, right? You have to learn it. You have to put some extra effort, and then reach out to the right person in your organization who can help you out. But you need to get ready that obviously you won't be getting the opportunity right up front to just because ultimately for your learning, why the company would pay,
right?
You have to pay for it. So you need to get ready to start with something, maybe a smaller bug fixes, right? And maybe the role that you are being paid for, apart from that, take some extra effort, do some contribution in the side projects, maybe some projects in the other teams, and then you will get the opportunity.
So there needs to be a proof of work, and you need to have a proof that you are capable of handling this role.
It. Yes.
Got it. So for a developer that is someone like me who has been boxed into one specific role, although I do try learning technologies, I think because I specifically work for startups, the opportunities to transition into roles in startups is a little less because there's a lot of time constraint involved there, and they always want it to be fast paced.
Right. That is correct. But again, like in the startups, they wanted to be more frugal every time, right? As long as you are doing your job, apart from that, like if you are putting effort on something, right, which can help them to move faster, everybody is gonna welcome it. Right. So initially you have to prove that I am capable of doing it, maybe doing some smaller tasks, and then later on you would be in that position that you can demand for it, that I wanted to try it out.
Got it. So that's an advice.
You have to build the case.
So you were working at Walmart as an SD2.
Yeah, SD3.
SD3.
Yes.
So what do you what skills do you specifically need to learn or what proof that you need to give to the organization that you are capable enough for demanding a promotion or receiving a promotion?
So, to be honest, right, in a more generic sense, if I tell you, right, for the promotion, I think that depends on a lot of factors. What is the work that you are doing? What is the importance of it, right? How critical it is, how critical that project is. But ultimately, that comes to you, right? Whatever you are doing, how efficiently you are delivering it, how efficiently you are doing it. One thing is, mostly people consider that whatever I'm doing, if it is good enough, I'm entitled for the promotion. The ground reality is, you have to work one role, like the next level that you are targeting, right? You have to be actually working on ground at this level, then only you will be get promoted on papers. That's what your manager is also expecting, that you are ready or already working on that level. Then they will help you to upskill you, right, to polish your capabilities, your skills. But again, like, you have to perform on the ground level, then only it comes on the paper.
Understood. So it's specifically you putting an extra effort on your end to, again, it's a proof of work that
Yes.
you are capable to handle the next level role.
Next level role.
Got it. So
And it is perfectly fine, right? You make it clear with your manager that what are your expectations. I am expecting to grow to the next level. What do you think that are the shortcomings or the things that I need to work on? What do you think? Am I ready to be the next level? If not, what more I need to do? If that communication or that expectations are clear, I think that will help to plan it. To be honest, in my career, right, maybe I didn't get the promotion when I was expecting. I got it maybe in the next cycle after 6 months. But at least when I thought, okay, I'm ready, I need to go to the next level, I didn't come that time. Maybe now I'm at the other side of the table. I can see it more clearly that why it was not happening, where were the shortcomings, right? What are the things that I could have done differently, and so that it was as per my expectations.
got it. So I have been hearing this advice a lot as I was transitioning from SD1 to SD2. It's not the amount of code that you're writing, it's always the quality of the code.
Right.
Do you find it accurate in your experience?
I think yes. To be honest, right, I have never been, I don't consider myself a very good coder. Right? I'm just, okay, I can manage it. That's it. Because I have seen the people, right, even when I became a manager, and then the people that in my team, some of them are like fantastic coder. It is not about like they can write a graph problem. It is like they will write the beautiful code that you can read, that you can understand, that you can expand. That's why I say, OOPS principles, I think if you know, that is more than enough to write the code. And then like a month of learning to understand the syntax. And for that, I believe a lot of help is also available nowadays. So to be a good coder, I think just only that how will you write a simple code, that is more important. Then in fact, we talk about a lot about the performance, right? That instead of this, I will be using a different data structure. To be honest, in my the experience that I have, it is never about like, we never faced it, okay, something completely outperforming that you choose another route, right? I think the hardware is cheap nowadays. So it is okay to maybe depends on the company's stage also. Definitely the cost matters. But again, like, it is not very, very drastic difference. Instead of that, if you write a simple code which somebody can manage it later, right, that cost definitely, like that would be a better trade-off as compared to writing a complex code, and which might not be somebody have to rework on it, right? Then the company has to put a lot of resources to manage that.
Right. So it's nowadays it's primarily optimizing based on optimizing maintainability rather than optimizing performance. Although performance optimizations are also important.
Important, yes.
Got it.
It is important you write a better code. Though I believe it is just only the 20% of your outcome, right? Outcome as a SD1, it is okay that you are being guided, that you are being given a problem statement. Okay, this is problem statement and a solution that you need to implement it, right? And the role of the SD2 is to find out that solution. And maybe when you become SD3, your expectation is to find out the problem. Solution, somebody will find it out, right? Solution is okay once you identify the problem. So for the SD3, I think that's the difference, right? The theoretical difference, what I see in my team. SD3 who will find out a problem statement, SD2 who will build a solution. SD3 need not to work on a solution. And then SD1, like, who would be morely focused on just execution or implementing it.
That's beautifully put. So coming to that same point that you were talking about, I've noticed that even though I've met a lot of senior developers, they haven't touched the Chrome developer tools yet. They don't know how to use the performance analyzer tab that's present in the Chrome engine. Even I have been learning it very recently. So is it something that SD3 would use to figure out that there's a memory leak or something like that? Is this aligning with what you're trying to say?
So yes, that depends on the experience, right? Sometimes maybe the SD1 also doing it because like it is more upfront requirement that the project that you are working on, where is the performance matter. Two tools, I think we use JMeter, like that my personal experience, right? We were using JMeter for the performance testing. Obviously in the Chrome nowadays, a lot of the help is available. And then I think the Postman, which is very, very simple tool. Especially, I would say if you are using the Postman tool itself in a right way, I think for backend developers, at least like it will increase your productivity by at least 5x. So that's what I realized when I started using it.
So what specific features in Postman would lead to the 5x?
You can create mock APIs. You can create mock server that would help you to basically test out your APIs, right? And then the contract discussion. I think that is one of the thing which matters a lot when you are building something new. The contract between the front end and the back end, right? That matters a lot. And if you wanted to review anything, right, that should be the first thing. Okay, this is my contract. Just review it. Is it working well? And then it would be easy. Somebody that who is reviewing your code, for them also this would be working as a framework. Okay, this is something that we wanted to achieve. And also the other people, right? Ultimately, this is the API. Using that, you are exposing the capabilities of your system to the outside world. And here that helps.
So along with that, even the documentation that the backend developer provides I guess it will also serve as like a refresher if they were to revisit their code. If they have documented it pretty well, they'll also be able to recall what each API does.
Documentation is important. Yes. I think documentation is most important. The reason is what you want, right? Whatever you have written, it is going to change. Definitely somebody is going to work on it and they're gonna call it shit in case if they are not able to understand that. So you should write the code which could be managed by somebody else that who would be working on it later. I think that is most important aspect of a good developer. I have seen a code like which is very, very efficient code. It has been written in such a way that while going through it, right, I learned, oh, this is another way, right, I could have done it. But then it is very difficult to navigate through it, to understand it, right? Then you will end up like spending a week of a one-day task.
And coming to you mentioning that things keep changing, I guess another thing that is really important to make sure that none of the unexpected things happen in production is also test cases. So usually I aim for somewhere around 80 to 85% of test coverage as a front-end developer. And I guess on back-end it would be more on the lines of 95%. So what's your opinion on the amount of coverage that you are expecting in your team?
Ideal is 100%.
Every single thing.
Though obviously this is not practical, right? It is because it is something which is like freezed. For that, obviously you can consider 100%, but which is in the active journey, you cannot consider the 100% coverage would be there. In the project that I have worked, the maximum that I have seen is around 70% coverage. It was hard to go more than that because some or other things keep changing, right? Or maybe you will keep pushing the new features. And the coverage wise, right, what you need to cover, ultimately more responsibility is on the developers. So we have seen the trend. Initially there was like developer of 10 people, and then there is 3 testing people are available, right? They might be doing the manual testing or the performance testing, or maybe the end-to-end automation test cases. But now that is changing. It is more of your responsibility, especially in the startup, that you are pushing a code into the production. It is your responsibility, your accountability, that you test it.
Understand. So about the test cases, right? So I was asking specifically about the percentage of coverage because I was recently interviewing at a company, and they demanded the offline assignment that they gave me. They demanded that I write at least test cases for 95% of coverage. So in your experience as you were SD3, were you given a free hand to choose this number, or is there a standard set by the company usually?
Right. So mostly that depends on the project and the company in which stage it is. Let's say some project that you are starting early and that is not there in the production, we don't have the sufficient audience for it, right? Then obviously the first thing is you wanted to put to the GTM, right? You want to target that. Ultimately, how much confidence as a developer you and your team have it in the product. And I think the confidence comes if you are able to test it out in your local. I think that is the biggest thing, right? If I'm writing some code, if I can test it out end to end on my local, that gives me the highest confidence as compared to even any number of the test coverage.
Right.
In the practical approach, right, the product that I have worked, we were not able to achieve more than 75%. That also we were like, okay, first developing the feature and then writing the test cases. Mostly the ideal way is like the test driven development, right? First you write the test cases and then you do it. But we were not able to do it.
I guess they're always on the paper.
Right. There are few companies who are following it, right? But they might have a lot of additional resources and maybe what is they wanted to achieve, right? For example, Google, different kind of the resources they have, right? The different kind of the projects they are working. The business use cases where like I got a chance to work, mostly we were following the deadlines or the timelines. The first thing is build it, let's put it to the production along with the sufficient quality check. So I was reading this book called The Pragmatic Programmer or The Pragmatic Engineer, right? So what it suggests is you need to take the practical approach.
Right.
Instead of running behind the numbers, it might make sense, right? For a sub company or when you have a mature product that you want to do coverage 95% because you cannot afford any downtime. But initially, when you are working initial round, right, the first thing is the survival mode, right? We wanted to build the POC. In that case, obviously you won't run behind the test cases.
So sometimes it's good to have a assurance that the code is good enough instead of aiming for the perfect code.
Yes, that's right.
Nice.
And here, like the confidence that you will have, right? That matters a lot. And which comes from the testing, and testing either you are doing as a developer, which would be possible if you can do the end-to-end testing in your local, or maybe manual developer or like the testing team, they can contribute. Though nowadays like more focus is the industry trend. If you as a developer, right, it is expected from you to deliver quality code. Now how you are doing it, it's your approach, but accountability is yours.
Right. Now as an SD3, what skills that you had to pick up to transition into next part of your role, and what would the next role be?
Okay. So, one thing is in the industry, right, there is no defined ladder. Few places in the few companies, right, post SD3, then there is the SD4 also, and like few companies maybe have the associate architect and then the architect role. So, depends on company to company in the ladder. But again, like SD3, considering that you have the sufficient working experience, right, you were able to lead a team in terms of you can advise technologically that what are the right choices, how you can make a technical decision, basically. That is the expectation. Ultimately, there are the two kind of, and mostly this is the generic pattern. Either you can grow as an individual contributor, which is the architect role. Another is like you can come to the people manager role. Yeah.
So, as you mentioned that you need to be able to take technical decisions, but in the earlier part of our conversation, you mentioned that there are certain technologies that Walmart specifies that this is Cassandra DB, for example, this needs to go here. Apart from that, what are the libraries or technologies that you had to choose as a part of your SD3 career?
So mostly, like when you are working on a project, right? The life cycle might be 1 year, 1.5 years, or something. If it is a good size project, ultimately some of these decisions you take very early in the stage, and then like these are the hardest decision because you cannot change them later on, right? That is the phase when you choose the tech stack, and if you are starting a project initially, right? After that, mostly the framework is defined, the things are, as long as like you are able to, it is able to deliver sufficient results, right? There is no reason to change it. Or maybe when you are working on the revamp or something, then you will, if it is not holding the promise, right, then you might need to revamp it. Otherwise, mostly like what you will choose, the database, which depends on the use case that you have, right? Then you will be choosing maybe the programming language. That also comes, like that is decided by the lot of factors, what kind of the talent is available in the company, right? And in that particular, let's say in Bangalore, mostly like you will find out a good amount of the Java developers are available, right? And maybe the programming language is not that big factor for the business applications. Some of the performance applications are there where it might be playing a role. Then it comes to the architect or the high level design of the system. That matters a lot, right? And for that, I think it is a collaborative effort. It is not a single person that who is deciding, okay, this is the right choice or this is the way that we need to go forward. It is like the overall engineering is a collaborative effort, right? So what you do, you try out few things. Okay, these might be the right choice. You might be taking either you are doing the benchmarking or you might be taking the industry benchmarks, and then considering your use case against it, write down the pros and cons, and then it is a collective call that you take. Okay, this is the right choice for it, right? And then later on, yes, the extension is obviously right. You lot of the new use case keeps coming, and then you try to fit it. And if it is not working, maybe then move on to something else. So this is a very, very organic journey.
Got it. So, as you specified that there is no clear ladder on what happens after SD3, but what was what happened in your case? Like, what role did you assume after SD3?
Right. So there was like apart from my career development, right? Obviously, I was getting more responsibilities in terms of like mentoring the other people in the team. So that was happening. But at the same time, like the Walmart acquired Flipkart and Myntra. Like Myntra was part of the Flipkart group, and then the Walmart acquired Flipkart. That time they were there was a lot of the people movement across the organizations that was happening. So they were promoting it, right? So to mix up the culture across the companies. There was a new initiative in Myntra which is called the Vota platform. So this was a very, very interesting project, and actually, to be honest, in my career, like this is the most technologically advanced project that I worked.
So tell me more about it. I'm interested now.
So Myntra is having their own private labels, right? For example, House of Butter, the HRX, and there are multiple. So they take care of end-to-end process of it, is from the inception of the designing to the marketing and everything. And the other people, like for example, the HRX, right? We know that it is owned by Hrithik Roshan. He's just a face of it, right? And the Myntra manages everything. So there are designers who will be designing the stuff. And actually in Myntra office, like a lot of the diversity, the office that we were sitting, there's the software developers, along with it, like there was the designers, there were the studios, and there are a lot of celebrities are coming, photo shoot is happening. So it was very, very vibrant.
So everything combined in one single office.
Yes. Back then, like everything was there. Sorry, lost the flow. What was happening, like for these designers, the interesting thing is, like we wanted to the Voda platform that we were building, it was about giving them the inspiration what they should design. It is not like kind of today's OpenAI, right, where it will give you the curated design itself. It was giving them the insights. For example, if you come to the platform and you ask for, I'm looking for the design inspiration for man's t-shirt in the Bangalore region for the summer collection, based on some historical data, we will be giving them what would be working well in the Bangalore region. So mostly it is about the fast fashion, right? The ultimate goal where you can assemble is my past experience, clear out the dead inventory, which the project was in the Walmart. Again, here is like build something so that there no dead inventory. The fast fashion. Yes. So these insights, and then at the same time for the the category managers, we were giving them the insights how they are doing as compared to their competitors. So this is the product. And
so the brands that were internal to Myntra, like HRX, there might be another sports brand within Myntra.
Right.
They were competing with each other.
So it was a SaaS product. And how the business model is, like internally Myntra people, Flipkart people, the designers, these and the category managers will use it. Apart from that, like the external brands, for example, H&M, right? Or maybe Nike will be using it. How do I look like as compared to my competitors? And they will be giving us a list of competitors. For example, in the Indian market, Adidas is their competitors, right? So how their brand is performing as compared to their competitors. This is what the insights we were giving them. And the insights were coming from the Myntra inventory, the Flipkart inventory data that we have. Apart from that, we were crawling a lot of the fashion websites. For example, the H&M is Sweden brand, and from the Sweden, like they have some local competitors. They would be giving their inventory data to us. We will be normalizing it and then ingesting into our system. Apart from that, we will be crawling their competitors' website every day. We will find out, okay, this product, what was the price yesterday, what is the price now, where it was coming on the list page, how much is the discount being given, and when it is going out of stock, right? So these are like few signals we will be catching out of it. There are some models based on this data, and which would be giving us the curated data. Okay, how is the likable of a product, how fast it is being sold, how many clicks are happening. Based on this, we will try to like generate a proxy number which would say, okay, this is a product which is working well, right? If it is working well in Bangalore market, and if you're looking for something inspiration in the Bangalore market, we will give you some common factors. Let's say the 3 designs are working good, then these are all round neck t-shirts, right? So try to use that recipe.
So after learning about this product, another product that comes to my mind is SEMrush for SEO. I guess it does a lot of same things, as in you specify what your business does. So anyone else, you can add that this URL is my competitor. So it calculates what's the SEO score for them, what new pages got added,
right?
What you can do, what you can add in your product.
Ultimately, it is based on the crawling, right? You just keep crawling it, and then a lot of the use cases that you can build, right? A business use case.
But when it comes to crawling, was there a situation where you went into gray areas, like ignoring the robots.txt file?
Yes. So I think by that time, right, it was already matured enough, right? And obviously, like working at a place, right, Myntra, which is highly like market leader, right? Then obviously you wanted to go with the compliance. So these were the things we have to take care that you are not bombarding a website. So these are all the engineering challenges that we were solving, and that's why I said like we were crawling like a lot of data. In TBs of data every day that we were crawling, and then processing pipelines. Then like eventually I was working in the backend later on, like, so yes, here I was interested. I wanted to learn something towards the data pipelines, Spark cluster and all. I got an opportunity. How? I was working in application development as a TL. there was one person who was actually managing the data pipelines.
So
And then
you had moved here as a TL.
Yes, I moved as a TL. Now the other person, right, who was managing the data pipelines, he actually moved from Indra. Now there was a possibility, right, we would be hiring somebody from outside. And then I step up and then I try to, okay, I will do this because I wanted to learn it also. I will help on to managing it by the time we are looking somebody from outside, because like you have to manage it, right? So with another engineer, junior engineer, and then I was actually as a TL, I was not getting a chance to do the hands-on because busy with the other stakeholder management and then mentoring the other people, right? And then the technical decisions and all this was taking most of the time. But then I was taking some time out and doing the hands-on also. So hence I started learning Spark cluster and then internals of the Elasticsearch and these things, right? And that's all because I wanted to learn it. I spent some more extra time for the sake of, okay, I want to do it, right? And then ultimately then I become the primary stakeholder, right, to manage the data pipelines.
So from interim we went to permanent.
Yeah.
Nice. As you mentioned that you were a TL here, what differences did you notice from going from an IC role, individual contributor role, to a more of a managerial role?
Right.
Were you still writing code, or were you just instructing people on what to do?
So I think that was the transition from an individual contributor towards, and then when I became a people manager, right? In between this role of the technical lead, that was helping me, right? How it covers some aspect of the people management also, not in terms of directly the people are reporting to you, but obviously you are playing a key stakeholder in their career development. You are giving them the feedback that how they can improve on, right? What are the things that they should work, what are the technical items that you are taking into the roadmap. So you are playing a role, but only it is limited to the technical decisions, right? And obviously when you have a larger team, like it was a team of around 20 people, that includes everybody, you need to spend a lot of time with the stakeholders. What I mean to say, you are spending time with the designers. What are their expectations from the product? You are spending time the business people, right? What are the, let's say they are connecting, because it's a SaaS product, they are connecting with the different people, right, who are the potential buyer for it. What are their demand? What are the features they want? And then you have to analyze it, how when you can promise by when you can deliver it, right?
The time estimation.
Yes, the time estimation and everything.
I find it the hardest most of the time.
So it becomes, right, initially it is little bit of, right, you need to reach out to the team members and then find it out how much time it might be taking, and then with the experience, right, you are more comfortable with it. You know, right, ultimately, okay, these are the changes. At high level, mota mati kitna time lagega, if you are able to do it, right, it is not always, okay, this is the given timeline I will be giving on the particular date. It is in approximation. We call it the t-shirt sizing, right? So t-shirt sizing, why it is relevant, like in the t-shirt you say, right, there's a small size t-shirt is the medium, it is the XL. So you divide the items into that category. This is the small effort, this is the medium effort, this is the like XL size. XL size which might be proportional to, right, it might be taking a month or so.
Got it. So depending on, I have never worked with a t-shirt estimation system, but according to, so what I'm understanding is this: if you pick a certain t-shirt size, you're saying that it might take between so many days to so many days.
Right.
So for example, say if it's a small task, it might be somewhere around 4 hours to 8 hours. That would be half a day or one day.
Right. Correct.
Got it. And did you still continue writing code when you became a tech lead?
Unfortunately, I was not getting time for it. I wanted to do. Ultimately, yes, when I started managing these data pipelines, I was working Scala. we were using to write that code, right? So I end up learning that, and I was writing some pipelines, like some Spark jobs that we were doing. And apart from that, I think from the Elasticsearch side, we were facing some issues like with the skill challenges. So I had to do it my own. But yes, I would say maybe just 10% of the time I was spending on actually writing the code.
Got it. And as a part of your role for TL, did you also have to give, if you're picking a new tech that you prefer using, did you also have to give a budget estimation for how much it might cost? Because ultimately, I think it will be for an organization as large as Myntra, they might have a business development unit. I guess they are the ones approving if you can spend that amount of money or not.
Yes, that you have to do. Ultimately, when you are doing the tech selection, right, which item that is the right fit for from the multiple choices, then based on basically the industry benchmarking, whether it is the right fit for your use case, if there are more than one available, then how much would be the cost estimation of it, and also whether active support is available, right? There are some open source projects that you are taking, but sufficient support is not available, then, and if you end up putting into the production and there is an existing code, what will you do, right? So these are the parameters you have to work on while making the tech choices.
So basically here, if you're picking a tech, you first need to figure out what are the other competitors that I might pick from,
Right.
and again within the competitors which offers a better support, and again I guess multiple features play a role here.
Yes, ultimately is like more than like you objectively you measure it, what is the right choice. For example, if you wanted to use a time series database, right, there are a lot of alternatives are available. InfluxDB is available, then Druid is available, right? But they have their own pros and cons, right? They build for the specific use cases, whether it is the right choice for you. That based on that, you finalize, okay, these are the few potential candidates. Now, the secondary parameter which is started coming is like, what is the cost? How active support is available within the company, the talent pool is available, right? And then is there any learning requirement, like is there any learning curve? Somebody that who is already having those skills within your team, you might be more oriented to use it, right? But actually the weightage of these factor may depends on if it is a very initial is a startup, right, the cost matter for them. So based on that, you would go with something which is just doing the job for now. Maybe then you can move to the other team when you are in that stage that you can afford it.
Got it. And did you notice any cultural differences in the team when you moved from Samsung to Walmart to Myntra?
Yes, I think there is a lot of difference. As I mentioned, right, Samsung is complete in a different world altogether. And then in the Walmart and Myntra, I find out, right, it is more of open culture where the more freedom is given to you. You can take the call what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it, right? Only you need to give the promise to the business and you need to justify it that okay, how long it might be taking, what it takes to build it, what resources do you need it, and yeah, that freedom is given to the teams.
Got it. And I'm curious as to what was the process if someone came up with a new feature that they wanted to integrate into Myntra. I guess they had to write a PRD. It usually comes from a product manager, right? So what was the whole process of evaluating a feature to getting it into production?
Yeah, it is like the naming convention might be different in the different companies, right? So the overall process definition might be different, but ultimately it is like the product manager is giving you the requirement, okay, this is, and he might be bringing it up based on the discussion of the different stakeholders, which is mostly the business, right? And then based on these requirements or the priorities, what you need to do, you need to basically write the TRD. For the estimation, you have to obviously analyze it, what it takes, right? What are the changes required, what are the new things you need to build, what you can reuse from the existing system, right? And then you will end up writing a TRD, and the TRD would be a high level high level requirements where all the changes are required and how much resources are required. Based on that, you will do the t-shirt sizing, and then you will be giving a rough timeline. Okay, this is the time that we would be able to do it, plus minus here or there sometime, right? And obviously the other priorities comes into the picture. Then if you are not meeting a specific timeline, okay, the product requirement is obviously your responsibility as an engineer, right? To maintain the quality also. It is not something, okay, I will just get it done. The product manager may want it on, okay, I wanted to put it into the production as soon as possible, right? So then you have to negotiate what we can do. What are the more impactful features that we can deliver it early, but again, it would be aligned with your overall plan. There are some components that you can independently deliver it, right? And then the other things would be integrated with this. So hence it is very, very much required that you have the plan for the complete feature or the complete product, and then you choose a component, independent items that would help your team to deliver it faster. Because now if you have identified the decouple, right, we were talking about the OOPS principles, that is not only for the programming, it applies in the high level decisions also. For example, we say the single point of failure, right? That is applicable in the team too. You don't want one person to just only taking the ownership of a module, because someday if he is not available, someday when he is not with the team, right, what you gonna do? So you have to consider a backup for it. Somebody can play that role. In that way, right, you have to plan it. Okay, this module depending on the which other module, and like if we can execute it in parallel.
So basically decomposing the whole module into smaller chunks of work,
correct.
and then shipping each of them separately. And then integrating it.
That's right.
Nice. So after tech lead, what was the next role that you assumed? As in, did you continue working at Myntra or?
So I think this is the time 2020.
Oh, the pandemic.
Right, the pandemic time. And then Myntra office was also moving from the place that I was staying. They were moving to the other part of the Bangalore, right? And then, like, the traffic of Bangalore, right?
Yeah.
It was not possible to go to office, obviously, from the place that I was staying. So I then decided to find out something else.
I keep forgetting that pre-pandemic, the work from home culture wasn't a thing.
So then I thought of find out something which might nearby to my place. I found an interesting opportunity with Grow, which is like in the fintech, the largest investment broker in India right now. Back then it was a small team. The office was in Kormangla. It was taking around 30 minutes from my place. And the Myntra office was moving to the completely the other side. It is like around 2 hours journey from my place, right?
Wow.
So that was the reason I thought of like trying out something else. And then I joined with Grow. I think the best decision, and there are a lot of learning experience actually with Grow.
Any I guess now from tech lead you must have assumed a promoted role here.
So I joined with Grow. It was pretty much a small team, and there was overall around 70 people or something. And the product that I was taking care of, the mutual funds there. So the mutual fund was the first product that the direct mutual funds.
Feature.
Yes, that was the primary product initially. I joined as an individual contributor only. In the pandemic, there was the organic growth in the fintech, right? Lot of market movement was there. So there were a lot of the skill challenges, and the daily firefighting was happening in the team. So I spent some initial time doing as an individual contributor, right? Initial, whatever the low hanging fruits, just to resolve those things so that we will get some breathing space and then focus on the long term
Did you
projects.
find it difficult from going back from a managerial role to an individual contributor? You must have felt that you were a little rusty when it comes to coding, because as you mentioned, you weren't coding as much. But did that impact you anyway when you came back as an individual contributor?
As long as you understand the needs or the requirement, right, either you will ask somebody to help you out to get it done, or you will do it yourself, right? Even when I'm working as a manager, right, I'm okay to write the code as long as if it is like, if I can add more value by writing the code, I will do that. I'm happy to do it. The requirement of the role becomes different, right? And then how you can add more value. Being a manager, instead of writing the code, there are the other aspect using that I would be adding more value to the system.
Got it.
So Grow, I was working as individual contributor for around 4 months, and then we got some breathing space. Then we did some like revamping of the things, so that at least we are not spending time on the things again and again every day. Once we built this breathing space, we started hiring and then increasing team, and then I started taking the people manager role.
While you were at Grow, since it's a very large scale company at this point, and with user scaling to multi-millions, were there any scalability challenges that you had to solve? And how do you keep up? What I mean to ask is, how do you educate yourself about the scalability factor?
I think the biggest learner is while doing it yourself, right? You go through any number of books, you read any number of the blogs, you go through any number of the experience the other people are sharing, right? Much more than that is when you are facing those challenges and then you are overcoming those challenges, right? That is much more learning experience. In Grow, yes, fortunately I have seen that journey, right, from few people to it is growing to the millions of users. Like with Grow, with the mutual fund product, right, what we were doing, around 16 million user base was there, and around 6 million daily active users. So that kind of the skill that we have seen, it is not something like very too much to be proud of, right? There are the products like who are handling much more than that. But for us, we have seen that journey from the maybe in the very early stage to reach there, right? Initially, yes, there were some hiccups, there were some downtimes that were happening, but then we keep learning from it collectively. Maybe the other teams, right? The mutual fund, the Grow is having 2-3 products. One of them was the mutual fund that we were working, and the another was the stocks and the derivative. They started building stocks and derivative around 2020 and sometime 2019 and sometime, and then it's come to the market by 2020. And then with the stocks and derivative, like the sudden surge of the traffic comes in the morning, right? So from there, a lot of the learnings were there, and then we were sharing those learning across the teams, and then everybody was implementing them. So one interesting story, we had a downtime where like one of the developer were using the parallel streams, and then he has like extensively used the parallel stream, which is good in Java, right? But it went into the production and we were not using any separate thread pool for it. Ultimately, what was happening, like sudden traffic comes and then all the threads choke and then system goes down. And we were just, oh, what is happening? We have seen yesterday the traffic which was much more than that, and what changed, like why it is happening. We were doing the slow rollout, right? So we were not able to correlate, okay, this is something changed because we were doing like 5%, 10%, 20% for a couple of features. Then which feature is this related to? We were able to zero in later on, like it took a day, and in between, like there were 2-3 times that we have observed, oh, our machines are crashing. Later on, then we realized, oh, this is happening. Then ultimately, no other tool was able to help us out. We went into the code, we look into it, that what is happening, and then we found the culprit.
And I chose to ask this specific question because I remember during the pandemic, it was everyone started investing. It was a new thing because people were earning money, but they weren't going out in the world to spend it. So ultimately, they ended up investing it. And I think the knowledge about finance or financial literacy in the country during the pandemic increased a lot.
Right.
So as a result of that, you must have gotten a very sudden surge in amount of users.
Yes, as there was literally organic growth was happening in the finance domain. A lot of the fintechs were coming up that time. Grow also became the unicorn at that time. And number of user wise, like I have seen that journey from around 2 million users to 16 million users. That is organic growth. These are not like the customers acquired, right, through lot of campaign or something. There was the campaign, the organic that was happening, the advertisement. But apart from that, like we have seen the organic growth come into that market. And I'm still bullish on the fintech in India. I believe, right, we have seen it in the past, right? The Indian economy is growing.
Right.
I think it is the 5th largest, right? And there is definitely for the next 20 years, we might be moving way forward and with a much velocity. Then fintech is something like definitely going to boom.
So as someone who has worked for a fintech in India before, Slice में जब काम करता था, RBI ने RBI had introduced a new regulatory guideline because of which we had to change the product over the span of 30 days. ऐसे कुछ चीज़ हो गया है क्या when you were at Grow?
Yes, I think being part of the fintech, compliance are part of life. You have to get ready. पता नहीं कब क्या आ जाए. So like एक इंसिडेंट है. फर्स्ट थिंग, एक तो मेरा बर्थडे आता है 31 मार्च को, और दिस इज लाइक कि अगर कुछ कंप्लाइंस आना होता है तो फाइनेंशियल ईयर के एंड में और फिर न्यू ईयर. तो व्हेन आई वाज इन ग्रो, लाइक ऑलमोस्ट एवरी बर्थडे आई वाज स्पेंडिंग इन ऑफिस ओनली कि आज कोई कंप्लाइंस लाइव जा रहा है तो आपको ये करना पड़ेगा. सो लाइक दैट such one incident was there जब पूरे म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री के लिए लाइक इट वाज ए काइंड ऑफ बिग चेंज. नॉन पूलिंग, we call it the non-pooling. What it was saying, let's say जो brokers हैं, client का पैसा और the investor का पैसा first comes to the mutual to the broker, and then broker would be settling it up with the exchange or the AMC, basically the fund house that who is managing the mutual funds. Now what this change was doing, अब ब्रोकर के पास पैसा नहीं आएगा डायरेक्टली, इट शुड गो टू द AMC, exchanges, right, which is the ICCL, Indian Clearing Corporation, जो मैनेज करती है on their behalf. उनके पास पैसा जाएगा and they would be settling with the AMC. Now the problem is the industry was not ready for it because जो बड़े प्लेयर हैं, राइट, जो लाइक द ब्रोकर्स दैट हु वाज डूइंग लाइक द इन्वेस्टर पर्सनली हु आर मैनेजिंग, राइट, जिनके पास छोटा पोर्टफोलियो है, उनके लिए दिस इज फाइन, राइट. बट फॉर द बिग ब्रोकर्स लाइक ज़रोदा हो गया, ग्रो हो गया, राइट, फॉर देम इट वाज प्रीटी डिफिकल्ट. पूरा टेक्निकल चेंजेस करने पड़ेंगे. Nobody was ready for it, and seeing the history, because SEBI is a government body, like everybody was expecting extend hoga, because आज in the current situation it seems like it is not possible at all. तो discussions चल रहे हैं but वो नहीं हुआ. So first deadline was 31st March and then it was extended on 31st March for the July. तो 3 महीने का एक्सटेंशन हुआ था, दो still the people were not ready for it. The problem was कि आपके पास एक्सचेंज है, एक्सचेंज के लाइक दे हैव डन द टेक आउटसोर्स, BSE का टेक आउटसोर्स है. तो अल्टीमेटली वेदर दे आर रेडी, if they are getting the clarity, and as I said, right, abhi in the current system, especially in the fintechs, what I observed, where the multiple, you have to do the collaboration with the multiple parties, payment aggregator है, payment provider है, and then इधर exchange है, ICCL है, then AMC है. इतने सारे लोगों को एक साथ collaborate करके एक solution पे आना, like it is quite difficult task.
I know it in the span of 3 months.
Right. So that was the problem, and ultimately like हाथ खड़े कर दिए थे कि यार ये नहीं होने वाला, और obviously you will build a solution क्योंकि आपकी तो एप्लीकेशन जानी है, राइट, और वो रिलीज होने में 1 महीने का टाइम लगता है, बिकॉज फर्स्ट यू विल रोल आउट टू 5% यूजर, 10% यूजर, 20% यूजर. अब जो चेंजेस द API दैट यू आर यूजिंग फ्रॉम द एक्सचेंज साइड, दोज आर नॉट रेडी. हाउ विल यू प्रमोट योर system to the production? Ultimately it takes a lot of effort and we have to build a system like it is generic enough. What we were ready, हमने अपनी एप्लीकेशन का we build it into the React also for the Android, that in the worst case if there is nothing working, what we will do, we will switch to the React, because we were able to do the code push, like whatever the changes are required instead of the native experience. Some of the pages where the mutual fund interaction was required, where the transaction were happening, we get it ready के उसका React version बना लेते हैं, और फिर क्या करेंगे, यूजर को as soon as he clicks on this button, we will move it to the web app, और वो आ जाएगा, और so that we would be able to play with it.
So internally you had a page where it was a completely web view
Yes.
जो React में बना हुआ था,
Correct.
and there was authentication being passed on to this window.
Yes.
And because हम web पे as frequently push कर
we can
सकते
push
हैं
it.
instead of
Yes.
applying for multiple verifications for the application.
And also
stores.
pushing the like it will need an app release, right? People have to consent with it and download the new version. So that will be the organic journey. It's gonna take time. तो वो हमारा लास्ट रिसोर्ट था कि यार वर्स्ट केस में ये करेंगे अगर नहीं कुछ काम किया, अदरवाइज वी बिल्ड अ सिस्टम इन अ वे कि वॉट एवर द परम्यूटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन पॉसिबल इट शुड सर्वाइव, और देन वी वर एबल टू डू इट. एंड हियर अनदर थिंग इज लाइक some people from my team, like who was in the Mumbai in the exchange office, their responsibility is कि whatever we are asking, आप पहुँचो to the right person, ask them the question and give us over the phone. Otherwise, setting up a call, it might be in the next week or sometime, right? And then bringing those people on the table, like it takes time. Some people were in the Chennai EMC office, so some people was coordinating with the Razorpay. So it was like one set of the people. It was kind of the hackathon. Like developers were in office and the other people, right? और कॉमन चैनल बना रखे हैं एवरीथिंग, लाइक देयर शुडंट बी एनी कम्युनिकेशन गैप. वी ट्राइड हार्ड, फॉर्चुनेटली वी वर एबल टू डू इट. The Grow was the only one, right? At least in the big players, that we didn't stop the business. सबसे मेन चीज वही होती है कि धंधा बंद नहीं होना चाहिए, right? तो at least we didn't even stop it on the go live date. हमने बस एक बटन enable किया and then it was working. बाद में थोड़े से कुछ challenges थे, we will discuss about them, but at least there were some other competitors who has actually stopped taking the orders for a week or so, and then when some clarity came, right, the system started responding. When they got the more details, after that they enabled it. कुछ challenges थे. For example, some people that who were investing, unke number of units were not matching. These were from the exchange or the ICCL side. There were few people who has invested, let's say, the 10,000 rupees and they got a refund of 1 lakh rupees, and the ICCL is still behind them that ये पैसा वापस कर दो. After
but
2
for
years.
something as critical as a stock broker, sorry, not a stock broker, but something as critical as an exchange, instead of, I'm of a personal opinion that instead of having a team that they're outsourcing the technology to, it's rather better to have a tech team inside in-house.
It definitely makes sense and it is making some progress. पहले से बहुत changes हुए हैं. NSE, if you see, right, I think उनका tech is much advanced as compared to the BSE. BSE ने भी अभी like a lot of the investment they are doing at the tech side, it is maturing now. And when this episode happened, I think it was because a lot of the investors complained to the CB also. Then they also do some measures and they are working on it.
So now the BSE is also getting on lines with what NSE is on the tech side. Interesting.
SEBI, I think, plays a very, very critical role here. हम सोचते हैं कि यार SEBI now they are bringing this regulation, that regulation, but from the investor's perspective, I think it makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
It's a safeguard for investors.
Yes. Otherwise, like the regulation is definitely required. There was one incident, right? We were seeing like that was the time we were like around 1 to 1.5 lakh orders in the mutual fund we were getting every day. Then suddenly there was a spike. We started getting like around 1.8, 1.2 lakh order, 1.8 lakh to 2 lakh. This kind of like the sudden surge started coming. We were happy. Business is increasing. But then what we observed, the average ticket size has reduced. So then we started probing it, what is happening. Then what we found, there is few people, like there was around 10-15 accounts जहाँ से हमें बहुत ऑर्डर आ रहे थे. Like there was 20,000 orders एक अकाउंट से आ रहे हैं. एक अकाउंट like group of 4-5 accounts था. We used to call them the पुनिया family. So राजस्थान में एक पर्टिकुलर जियोग्राफिकल रीजन है, 2-3 लाइक आसपास के, बिकॉज KYC करते टाइम उन्होंने एड्रेस वगैरह तो सब दिया ही था. वी वर एबल टू ट्रैक इट. वहाँ से पता चला कि लाइक एक पर्टिकुलर जियोग्राफिकल रीजन से ये सारे ऑर्डर आ रहे हैं और एवरीबडी इज हैविंग द लास्ट नेम एज पुनिया. सो वी यूज्ड टू कॉल देम द पुनिया फैमिली. वो क्या कर रहे थे, 107 रुपीज का ऑर्डर डालते थे. एक ऑर्डर 107 रुपीज, स्पेसिफिकली 107. और लाइक एक दिन 107 का, दूसरे दिन 108 का, समथिंग लाइक दैट दे वर डूइंग इट. क्यों कर रहे थे? क्योंकि एक पर्टिकुलर फंड हाउस था, एक स्कीम थी जिसमें ये सारा इन्वेस्टमेंट जा रहा था. we were wondering, instead of making one order of the 10,000 rupees, why are you making 107 rupees, right? Then we realize, okay, let's take it to the fund house and to the exchange. Let's bring it to their notice also. Otherwise, like, it would be on blame on us. We are not doing anything wrong, right? They are doing, like, they are entitled to whatever they want. They are legally using their system, right? So what we get to know, एक बेसिकली राउंडिंग के कारण कुछ बेनिफिट हो रहा था उनको, तो जो नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स अलोकेटेड होती थी वो फंड हाउस उसको राउंड अप कर देता था. सो अल्टीमेटली ऑन ईच ऑर्डर दे वर गेटिंग रफली 1 पॉइंट समथिंग रुपीज का कुछ उनको बेनिफिट हो रहा था. सो दे फाइंड आउट अ फंड जो एक्चुअली काइंड ऑफ लाइक बहुत ज़्यादा वेरिएशन भी नहीं हो ताकि उनकी वैल्यू भी कम नहीं हो. इन सब की एवरेज व्हेन वी सी द लाइक द इनकम दैट दे हैव स्पेसिफाइड इज लाइक 2 लाख रुपए 2.5 लाख रुपए मंथली थी, सॉरी ईयरली थी, एंड दे वर ट्रांजेक्टिंग लाइक 50-60 लाख रुपीज का मंथली ट्रांजेक्शन कर रहे हैं. सो अल्टीमेटली व्हाट दे विल डू, टुडे दे विल पुट इन टू द म्यूचुअल फंड. 3 दिन के बाद जब उनके पास यूनिट्स आ जाएंगे उसको सेल कर देते थे, और ये जो उनको डिफरेंशिएशन वैल्यू वो बेनिफिट हो जाता था. सो then
but उस पे exit load भी लगता होगा ना?
नहीं, so they identify the fund जिसमें exit load नहीं लगे, right?
Smart. I think it's sort of an arbitration.
I won't name that fund house right now, right? But otherwise, like, then they also realized it. Then they share, okay, this is happening. उन्होंने वो fix भी किया, and for this Punia family, right, we end up like creating a rate limiting for them कि आप दिन में इससे ज़्यादा order नहीं कर सकते. Ultimately, because direct mutual funds हैं grow, right? It is a retention tool for them, not for the profit making, but you end up paying your payment aggregators, right? और अगर 107 रुपए का टिकट वैल्यू है जिसमें से like 5 rupees 4 rupees, right, you are paying to them, and or ultimately you wanted के एक lump sum order आए instead of the small ticket size.
Interesting. But they were clever in identifying one specific thing that does not have an exit load and rounding off का bug जो था. I think a lot of tech bugs have been revolved around the floating point.
तो वो होता है, right, कि they identified the opportunity, right? You can say it is the business mind, right? They identify zero in such gap and then उसको exploit भी कर रहे हैं. The people that who are earning maybe 1.5 लाख रुपए 2 लाख रुपए जिनकी साल की इनकम है, maybe little bit more, right? But then they are bringing the volume in crores, right? तो उन्होंने भी अपने investors के पास गए होंगे, बोला होगा कि यार इतना हमें पैसा दे दो, you lend this money and we are promising, they are putting into a fund जहाँ पे loss नहीं हो, they are playing safe, and then whatever the profit, right, they are making. So consider that अगर 107 रुपए के 20,000 ऑर्डर डाल दिया, and then you might be getting, let's say, by 1 rupee also around 1% profit every day you are getting.
While at Grow, were there any cultural things that you'd like to highlight? How was it different from your previous experiences?
Right. In Grow, one distinguished thing what I see is lot of the knowledge sharing happening across the teams. Like some other team is facing some issue, right, and then they will be sharing their learnings actively with the other people so that they can proactively work on it. Another thing, cultural difference was lot of promotion of the learning things. One such initiative was the book club. So the CTO there, who is also from Gwalior, like that is near to my native place. So he was building that culture. Okay, start reading a lot of books. He was also like a book enthusiast. So he has started a policy that you can order any book. You just they have maintained a Google Sheet. In that you just give us the link of that book, and in monthly, initially it was like unlimited, and then later on they curve it. Okay, because practically you can read just only 2 books in a month, right? Then you can just limit to 2 books in a month, and it would be get delivered to your place. It is your own book, funded by company. It is not part of your CTC or anything, and whatever the cost of the book is doesn't matter, right?
Wow.
I think so. That was very good initiative, and for me personally, some of the books I was not into the books and all, right? I was like reading some technical stuffs and all that was there, but not reading dedicatedly book. From there I started building that habit of reading book. Early stage, like it was taking a month for me to even finish a book. Sometime I end up like not completing that book, maybe 30-40%, and then it's gone, right? So but then yes, it took around 4 to 5 months or something, and then I had to concisely work on it. But yes, now I try to read it at least 1 to 2 books in a month.
And did you pick up any specific genre of a book, or are you like, I read everything?
So mostly the recommendation, right? When I discuss with the friends I ask them, what are you reading nowadays? Any good recommendation? The book club was also like giving some recommendation. Few books which were very, very helpful in my journey, like the Pragmatic Engineer, right? What I mentioned, that is one book. Apart from that, there is a book called The Release It. I am not able to recall the author name, but it is like mostly the expectation when you have built a system, what it is expected into the production. Before taking it to the production, what are the things that you need to touch upon? It is like very, very practical book. Then from my learning into the managerial journey, right? 2 books are there. One is Julie Zua or something like that, the name of the author. It is called The Making of a Manager, which is like she was a designer in Facebook from the early stage, and then she was managing a team. She became the people manager, and then she was sharing her experience, right? How was her journey? What are the helpful things that what she has covered?
Is that the same person who had painted a mural at Facebook in exchange of shares and who got incredibly rich later?
I'm not sure. I never heard about that part. So, but yes, that book was pretty much like, it helped me a lot to understand what are the expectation of a people manager. In Indian software industry, the problem is like somebody who is an individual contributor, right, and then who is doing well, that he would be taking a chance. Maybe the people consider, right, there is no growth aspect in terms of the individual contributor, so they end up being the people manager. Right? It was never a conscious call that I know that what it demands, what is what are the skills required for this role. Ultimately you end up, and then it is your self-learning journey. But if you got a mentor, if you get these books, this can help you a lot. Like something that you would be doing the mistake by yourself, instead of that, right, there is some recommended the silver bullet, right? You can get it. Obviously, making a mistake as a individual contributor, as a developer, it is okay. The impact is limited, but the limited is just only on maybe the process of the product. But as a manager, if you are making a mistake, it is coming on the cost of the other people's career, right? So very, very limited scope, right? You should not make a mistake as a manager. So that's why you have to learn it proactively instead of by doing it. Right? So this book, and another one is like The First Time Manager. That book also like pretty much helpful. That is help. I think I would recommend it. Apart from the engineering managers, like who are being in the role newly, the people that who are in the individual contributor roles, that they should also read this book. That will help them to understand what is the expectation out of them, what is their manager or the senior stakeholders are managing out of them. So yeah.
Got it. So you haven't limited yourself to one specific genre. You read tech, you read psychology.
Yes.
I guess these fall under the category of psychology.
And then it is expected, right? Being a senior person in the team, you need to put on a lot of hats on the different times. Sometimes you have to be the project. You need to understand the product insights also. Why are we using this color? Why are we using this icon, right? Why there is a success message here, and the message that you are using, whether it is intuitive enough or not for the user. Then you have to understand like little bit of those skills also. You have to acquire those skills. You need to do the people management, and then obviously the technical charter is always there.
So did you know from the beginning that you are more of a people person and people-oriented person to be able to guide people, or was it something that happened by chance and you then later on picked up the skill?
I think, this is, I never thought that I would be ending up the people manager. Initially, right, I was more of the tech people, right? And then if you see my journey, I tried out multiple technologies. And then whenever a chance came to try out something new, I always took that, right? But then organically that option came to be a people manager. There was a growing team in Grow, and they was looking for somebody that who can help out on the process setup and everything, right? I thought of initially as take it as an experiment. I will do it. Initially, there was a transition period of around 3 to 4 months, right? Where every day I was thinking that really, am I good enough to do that? Do I need to do it? Am I enjoying it? But later on, then yes, I started enjoying it more. Basically the system are complex, right? As an engineer, you wanted to solve the complex problem. But people are much more complex than that,
than the system,
right? And then you need to get the insight, you need to read between the lines, right? You have to take the insights that how the people are working, what are they saying, right? What are their thought process? You have to connect with it. Then you will start getting the signal from that system, right? And you will start enjoying it. One feedback that, or maybe one my experience, right? So one litmus paper test for the people manager, whether you are enjoying it. Initially, when I was in the transition state, right, it was difficult for me to spend 30 minutes in a week with my reportees to give them the feedback. I was thinking, every week I need to do this. It is the repetition of the same thing every week. Do I have the content enough, right, to give them the feedback? Initially, that was the stage. But now I feel like even if I'm spending 1 hour in a week, that is lesser, right? So from there you can, whether do you like to observe people, give them the feedback, right? Do you see the success in the other people's success? So these are the things using that, whether you are enjoying this role or not.
Right. And for us, and as someone who would like to continue being an individual contributor, is there in India, as you mentioned, the career growth trajectory is limited for now, but do you think that there's a scope for someone to just continue as an individual contributor, or do I need to pick up the managerial skill? I'm asking it as a personal question.
Managerial skill definitely required, right? Even if you are not a people manager, right, you will end up, even someone, let's say if you are an architect, you will be ending up managing a team of the architect. You will be mentoring some other people. So need not to be the people manager, but yes, those kind of the managerial skill definitely required to grow in your career. It is correct that in the current industry, right, the growth prospect stops after a particular point. As individual contributor, right, you might become maybe the architect, but obviously, right, the skill set that is required, the experience with these technology things. Ultimate goal of any company is the business, right? And if you have the contribution towards the business directly, right, then obviously you are more, your contribution is more, right? And then you will get more chance to grow.
Got it. So do you think that if someone has to continue as an individual contributor rather than going into specific roles and never want to reduce the amount of code that they are writing, would startup be a good choice for them to continue their career forever, or?
It is individual choice, right? I know people that who have been in the software industry for 15 years, 16 years, and they choose to be the individual contributor. They are still writing the code. And maybe when I am discussing with the friends that who are in, let's say, one of my friend who is in Canada, he was saying that I don't want to move to the people management role. I'm happy with it. I'm enjoying it, and I have the sufficient opportunity. Right? There is a saturation in terms of the monetary values, right? For the people manager or for the individual contributor, and then you have this freedom. What you are enjoying more, you can choose it, right? And I think in India also, in Bangalore, at least that saturation is coming. That saturation is almost there. Maybe down the line in few years, that would be coming more, like the salary range difference between a junior developer, a senior developer, a tech lead, or maybe a manager. It might not be that significant.
Got it. This might sound as a stupid question, but can an IC turn into a CTO, or is it always the managerial people get into the role of CTO?
Uh, Maybe I don't have the experience with that, right? I will just share based on my observations. I think there is no specific criteria for it, right? I have seen the CTO that who were initially into the just only the technical individual contributor role, and then the CTOs that who were, and in fact I have seen the transition of the CTO from the individual contributor, or maybe like more of the attitude of individual contributor towards the people manager. Like if I specifically talk the CTO in Grow, initially when I joined, right, his inputs were more towards of technically how we will solve a problem, right, how our systems is, how we will improve our system. But later on, then he was more of the motivational things, that he would be giving you the guidance in a single line, okay, that you should do it, what you are doing, what you can do better. And then he will give you more of, like, when talking to him, you will get a lot of the inspiration, oh yes, that also we can do it, but not specific. He is not drilling to the specific points. So, and there is a difference between the leader and the manager, right? The leader will give you the path, the purpose, where you wanted to go. The manager needs a different skills, which is you have to be a leader also to be a manager, right? Because everybody is looking to you to make a decision, but also you have to bring those people along with you, right? So that's why those managerial skills are required. So to answer your question, there is no specific criteria. It is overall those skills are required. The leadership is required even for as the SD1 level, right? In a particular situation, you take a lead to do that. That is the leadership.
Got it. And is there any specific any new language that you're learning?
Yeah. In my role currently where I'm working, which is the Rippling, it is a US based startup. It is, I would say, not even a startup anymore. It is an established company. It's been around 6 years now. I recently joined with them. I'm building a new team here. And then the tech stack here is the Python based. Right? So I never worked on Python ecosystem. Here, the first month, what I started doing is, apart from taking the interviews, building the team, I also started taking some courses to learn Python. And then I made it like, okay, 3 PRs that I have put into the production. Myself, I wanted to understand how is that complete ecosystem, right? When I know practically, then only I can give the opinion to somebody, right? In my team. That's why I wanted to experience. And I ended up like learning Python. It took me around 2 months. Still, this is an ongoing journey, but yes, I'm comfortable with it now.
Got it. Yeah, I guess when it comes to tech, you never say that you learned a thing. It's always a constant process, right? So again, in Python, there might be a specific framework that you're learning, like Django, Flask.
Yeah. So we are using Django, right? So though the framework is already there, right? Most of the things, like few things to start with, right? The basic framework is already set. You have to build a new product on top of it, right? So maybe specifically learning to all the nuances of Django is not required. Maybe that I would be learning later on, right? When the organic time comes. Ultimately, to be comfortable with that programming language, to be comfortable with that ecosystem that was required. Yeah.
So now that you've shifted to a Python-based stack, and earlier you were mostly on the Java-based stack, which language would you prefer more, and why?
It's a tough question. There is no specific choices, right? That depends on the context, that what kind of the problem that you wanted to solve. Even we used Python when I was working with Myntra for this scripting framework, right? There also we were using Python. I was not individually contributing on it, but yes, our team was using it. I still prefer like Java. That is one thing like I started my career with, right? So I'm more comfortable with it, right? Because of my experience. And then it is like very low level language, right? It is like talking in the plain text. You can read it. Even somebody who don't know Java, even if he's reading it, right, he would be able to get some meaning out of it. And also compile time you will get a lot of things right. Aesthetically a type checked language it is. In case of the Python, you don't know, you will get to know only when it is in the production that it is breaking.
So you would prefer a language that is hard typed instead of
Yeah.
I guess
But capabilities, what the Python gives you, right? And you can write the similar amount of code in maybe in 10 lines, which might be taking in Java. You have to write maybe 5 classes and maybe 100 of lines.
right.
So it gives you a lot of control.
But I guess it comes with a lot of performance hit as well because of the amount of layers
Correct.
that are, or abstraction layers that are going there.
Yes. Like Python doesn't have this multi-threading, right? So that is one thing, but that depends on, right, as I mentioned, like the use case by use case, what kind of the performance that is required. And maybe if you wanted to build something, a prototype very initially, and you wanted to go to the production, I think Python is the best. You can do it like with the Django framework. It's hardly a matter of 15 minutes. You can build an application.
Got it. I guess there's like how TypeScript has been written to manage the types for JavaScript. I guess something on the similar lines. There's a project that they're doing on Python as well. It's not specifically a typing system, but I think it's a superset language which also which can also compile Python. But I think it's somewhere on the line. I forgot the name. It's called a Dojo or something.
Yes, the boundaries.
Mojo.
I have not heard about the library that you are talking, but yes, the boundaries between these, or the capabilities between these languages, right? What the capabilities they offer, that is overlapping now. At Java, if you see, right, a lot of the functional programming has come. Another side, in Python, people have that need, okay, we should be able to compile it, right, to make it like aesthetically type check to be at the safer. So those libraries are there, and a lot of the things, like I can see the similarity between both the platforms. So yes, it is like the community is there is a growing community on both of these languages. They are finding it out, okay, these are the good things at the other place, they are cherry picking it and then like bridging the gap.
I guess ultimately all languages will end up looking like one single language.
I wish if that happens. So yeah, maybe that uniformal language would be plain English, right? The kind of the ChatGPT framework, you will just give the instruction and it will produce the code for you.
I guess that's with that point, I would like to ask you, what's your opinion on AI taking over engineering jobs?
That is reality, right? It is happening around us. I have seen the roles which were required like 2-3 people, and now it is not required anymore. But ultimately, yes, the number of the jobs will reduce, but it is not going to be like completely eliminated. The reason is computer needs the instruction, right? That instruction you are writing right now, instead of that you might be choosing some other way to give the instruction to it, but the somebody that to generate those instructions, that is required. For those, you need to have the domain skills, you need to have the problem solving skills, you need to find out what are the business problems or the technical challenges that you are solving, and then how you will solve it yourself, how you will make the computer to understand it. Only that method might change. But yes, obviously, like the problem identifier and solver might be one, and right now like a lot of the people contribute to convert to the computer instruction, that will reduce.
Understood.
But ultimately it is like in the other let's say right now somebody is spending a day to writing a program, and then later on he might be able to do it within an hour. What he will do with that time? He might be going outside, right? He might be spending that money on something. He might be taking a vacation. So in the other segment, that growth would be coming, right? A lot of the job opportunity would be coming into that segment.
Understood. So what's happening nowadays is because there's a lot of buzz about AI. New developers who are yet to join engineering, people who are aspiring to become a software engineer, are scared of the possibilities of jobs not being there by the time they graduate.
Right.
What's your view on this?
Demand is decreasing. That is the ground reality that we can see in the companies around us. Obviously, like it is maturing now, right? When it in the, maybe a decade back, like there were a lot of opportunities because like lot of startups, lot of the companies who wanted to open up their center in Bangalore, right? And now the same job could be done by the limited number of the people, and obviously the people that who joined 10 years back, the world is still there, right? And the new pool is keep coming, obviously, and AI has impacted this a lot because the people are more efficient now. That is the ground reality. So I would advise, like this is my personal opinion, that if you are coming into the software industry, right, you have to be industry ready. Now the industry is much more demanding. You need to know maybe one particular skill, but you need to be the master of it. It could be, let's say, how you are using now the lot of the jobs in the ML, right? Maybe the people are not building the ML model, but it is the applied AI where you use the ChatGPT APIs and build something. I have seen like the people around me building I don't know, like fantastic cases. We can discuss some of such cases later, but yeah, now those jobs are increasing, right? So you have to take that call that what the future would be demanding, and you need to get ready accordingly. Just being okay, or maybe what I was there in the 10 year back, right, it might not be the right skills in the current situation, in the current context.
I guess for someone to be able to always stay ahead of the curve, you need to be really passionate about what you're doing.
Yep.
I guess that will give you an edge on the job market, basically.
Yes. You have to learn a domain skill, and then programming is something like it is started in the schools also, right? So it is a competency, right? You know one skill, one language to communicate with your family members, one to maybe communicate with the society. It is a way, right? It is a language to communicate with the computers. It might be the same plain English down the line, right? So that is not a skill, right, where you can get an edge. You have to be a domain expert.
By domain expert, you mean like someone who's specific to, like, say, fintech, who has extensive knowledge of finance, or say fashion tech like Myntra. And I guess then most of the engineers will end up becoming product managers at the end of the day.
Not the product managers, right? The product manager's job is like how you will produce the value to the end user. But apart from that, underneath, there is a lot of other problems, right? For example, in the supply chain, there is a lot of the problems. This is on the ground, the ground reality, right? And the people are working on it, how we will optimize this. Ultimately, then what happens? You solve this problem on the paper, and then you try to make a computer program for it, right?
Got it. But I have a little bit of contrary opinion on this because I've been using tools that help me with autocomplete code.
Right.
Most of the times, the code that's been generated by it does help me reduce the time I'm investing in writing something that's repetitive, but something that I want to write as an optimized solution.
Right.
I don't think I would pick something that the AI has generated. I have a theory. I have a theory specifically for this, saying that in case people start using AI more, we will definitely see a rise in cybersecurity jobs, because the amount of code that's available on the GitHub that the AI models might be trained on are not really up to the mark, and there is no human intervention when you're training the AI, saying that this is good code and this is bad code. AI does not understand that yet.
Right. Yet, right? So
yet.
When airplane came, nobody thought that we would be flying into the airplanes one day, right? Everybody thought it is a good toy for the amusement, but now look today where we are, right? It is difficult to imagine the life without it. I think the AI is also pretty new. In fact, maybe it's everything changed with the OpenAI, right? The adaptability of it, right? Maybe even the people that were working on these models, right? The name is OpenAI. Sam Altman, he might not have thought it like he would be making something that will change the humanity for all, right? Otherwise, he might not have made it open source. What they are trying to do it. So it is it is in very early stage. Even today, it is very, very early stage.
Yeah, but I don't think OpenAI is open source because
The idea was like non-for-profit, like it would be, they won't be making any profit out of it, right? Ultimately, the people would be contributing and then anybody would be able to use it. But later on, when they realized, no, this is something like the use potential, then they try to commercialize it.
Got it. Yeah, I guess they have two different entities. One says that it's non-profit and the another one that's actually taking the money.
Right. So ultimately, maybe down the line, exponential growth will be coming in the AI use cases everywhere, like the AI we can see. And maybe down the line after 5 years or maybe a decade, right? It would be pretty difficult to imagine the life without it. I think already there.
Yeah. But I think as for the jobs part, I think we are still 15 years behind where AI will be as capable to take a job. Currently, I think it's somewhere around the level of a junior engineer, and probably it will take certain time for it to.
I think we need not to be afraid about it, right? It is there. And this is the ground reality. You need to be ready or adapt according to it, right? How you will best use the AI for your work life. What are the alternatives, right? It is taking the job, but other side it is producing the job, right? So you need to focus on that part.
Got it. So always looking at the brighter side.
There is no other option.
Yeah, ultimately, it's gonna happen one day or another. Yeah. So enough about AI, I guess. What I would like to know is, as a developer myself, I customize my environment that I work on very dearly because I spend a lot of time sitting in front of a computer. I am very particular about the keyboard that I'm using, the monitor that I'm using, the OS that I'm using, the tools that I use along with it. Are you someone of a similar mentality, or you're like, they're just tools for me and I use it as
I think सबका अलग-अलग particular choices होती हैं. With me, it is like I need a table and chair. I cannot work, not even attend a meeting lying down on the bed. I have seen people like they are pretty comfortable. You like make them sit anywhere, they will lie down, or in any situation they will work. But for me, I need a separate space. ज़्यादा noise नहीं होनी चाहिए, like even if the TV sound or anything that distracts me. So I lock my door when I'm working from home, or in office also I try to find out some separate place अगर possible है. Maybe if the meeting room is free, we'll go to the meeting room. और अगर मुझे कुछ ऐसा काम करना है productive, then I would prefer that. But yes, what I need एक तो temperature कम हो, थोड़ा cool हो. And then like एक big monitor is available, and then I'm in the seating position. मैं seating or standing, लेट के काम नहीं कर सकता है. पता नहीं then how people manage it.
I guess the work from home culture has a lot of impact here because I am someone who just lies on the bed and works. So I think it's more on the it's the impact of work from home culture where I got comfortable कि मैं कैसे भी काम कर सकता हूँ.
हाँ, और मे बी इट इज लाइक कि पर्सनल प्रेफरेंसेस भी होती हैं लोगों की, राइट? दैट अगर इफ आई एम लाइंग डाउन देन आई विल एंड अप स्लीपिंग. सो वो भी है.
कमिंग टू द नेक्स्ट हायरिंग पे ही जो हम बात कर रहे थे, करेंटली what do you look for as an engineering manager while hiring someone, be it any role?
Right. Depends on which role that you are hiring for. And definitely that role demands some skills, some experience, I think, but that we address while doing the screening of the resumes. Right? What the people, the basically the project that somebody has worked on, what are the experience with the different tech stack or the skills that we need for that role, right? वहाँ cover हो जाता है, but later on then you have to cross check, right? And then you focus on the person, like any project that you are mentioning, you are not specifying what were your contribution in that project. So that is one key thing that you cross check in the interviews. The second thing is about uh, basically you will contribution and the collaboration part, that is very very important, because engineering again is a collaborative effort, right? And here it is pretty much you have to cross check whether it is a right fit into your team. How will you do that? It is like you have to probe it more. You have to ask the follow-up questions. Somebody is saying, okay, I work on that project. Okay, how big was the team? What was your contribution? What was the project size? What was the duration? What are the challenges came? How you were collaborating with the different stakeholders in it, right? And that from there you will start getting the signal. So I think the skills definitely which is required a particular role demands, and then how the person would be working with the other people or in a team. These two things are very very important.
Would you prefer hiring someone who has a startup experience over someone who has been a part of a larger organization?
If role demands that, yes, definitely yes. And it is not a personal bias, but again, like somebody that who has worked in a startup, right? I think he has more experience of those aspects what you are looking for, like working in a hustle, right? And then maybe taking up the responsibility of communicating with for example, in the bigger company, right, this is expected that the product manager will give you MPRT, but in the startup it is not the case, right? You have to get it done. So obviously it will give you some benefits.
Got it. I guess the startup developers are also more well-rounded, as in they can think from both product perspective and from engineering perspective.
Yes. And also you get a chance in the startup, right, to closely working with the founders, with the business team, right? They're discussing the business numbers. So overall, your understanding of a product that increases on multifold in as compared to a mature company where you are just doing your job.
Right. Okay. So coming to the last section of the podcast, what are the 3 things that you did in your career that you say might regret today?
One thing is definitely if you have a mentor, right, that will multifold your growth. You will get some honest opinion from them, and right, what you can do differently. I found it, right, whenever a good feedback comes, right, that is very very helpful for your growth. So if you can find a good mentor, right, and then you could explicitly reach out to them that I am looking for your feedback to be you become my mentor, right? That is one thing I realized it pretty late. Second is I think the work-life balance, right, what we talk about, that is correct, that you look back, right, you might not be remember what work that you was doing. There is the other aspects of the life, but it is your primary responsibility that you have to create it your own. So people complain, right, that in the startup the work-life balance is not there. I agree, but it is your responsibility also, that how you will create those expectations with the people, right? How will you manage your work life? So it is equal responsibility. Third thing is start investing early. Right. I think I was not an active investor by the time I joined with Grow, and before that I was more of the traditional thinking, right, कि घर खरीद लेते हैं, जमीन खरीद लेते हैं and all that. But yeah, then I realized घर और जमीन, right, जरूरी है, बहुत जरूरी है. Ultimately with the money what we will do, right, you will get some resources to enjoy the life. Right. But again, like, you need to start invest early so that you will have this good equity also.
Understood. So, was there any impact that being a part of fintech played a role in how you invest today?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I was not an active investor, but वहाँ से, like, obviously the role demanded that I need to acquire those skills, right? So I started like learning about it, what kind of the different funds, stocks and the derivatives, and then the mutual funds, right? So वहाँ से थोड़ी understanding मिल गई, and then you started realizing, okay, these are the parameters based on that you can judge an investment decision, right? And then that helped me. So for example, what I do, मेरे पास उतना active time होता नहीं है कि right, you daily following the stock market. So what I do, few things I know that definitely this is going to work. For example, the EV, right? Electric vehicle, it is growing and definitely that is the future. तो अगर मुझे उससे related जहाँ opportunity मिलती है मैं invest कर देता हूँ. I need not to look every day. I will just check it after 5 years, right, where it is going. Second such thing is, for example, infrastructure in India. इंडिया की इकोनॉमी बढ़ रही है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेफिनेटली बढ़ेगा, तो आई नीड नॉट टू लुक बैक इट राइट. अब नाउ बहुत सारी कंपनीज हैं जो इसमें कर रही हैं. डू आई नीड टू पे अटेंशन एवरी डे व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इनटू दोस कंपनीज? हो सकता है सेमी स्टॉक विच इज ऑन the 1000 इट माइट कम टू 100 रुपीज. सो व्हाट आई प्रीफर कि इससे रिलेटेड कोई फंड है विच इज बीइंग एक्टिवली मैनेज्ड बाय समबडी, मैं उसमें डाल दूंगा. इंस्टेड ऑफ मे बी गेटिंग a 30% ग्रोथ आई माइट बी गेटिंग 25%, which is okay, but worth because I need not to pay attention every day, right? I'm not to pay time there.
So fund as in a small case or like a mutual fund?
A mutual fund, ETF, anything that works. And the third thing what I do कि बाकी का जहाँ पे भी ऐसी ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी लाइक सच काइंड ऑफ द स्टॉक और सच काइंड ऑफ द फंड आई विल इन्वेस्ट देयर, एंड देन फ्यू म्यूचुअल फंड्स, बाकी का पैसे वहाँ पार्क कर दो आप. इट इज़ लाइक वो बढ़ना ही बढ़ना है. इट यू नो फॉर श्योर दैट इंडिया इज ग्रोइंग, ऑब्वियसली दिस मार्केट इज ग्रोइंग, देन देर माइट बी अप एंड डाउन, राइट? दोज आर द लोकल मैक्सिमम मिनिमा जो होते हैं वो तो रहेगा, बट इन द लॉन्ग टर्म इफ यू सी हिस्टोरिकली it is increasing and it will keep increasing.
Index fund बढ़ेगा ही
बढ़ेगा.
And what are the 3 things in your career that you think that you did right, or any luck that played part in it, that because of which you attribute your current position to it?
To be honest, I always went with the flow, like what it is demanded by that time. Learning of a new technology, right? I was not conscious enough, okay, the future is that and I should start learning it. Fortunately, that played okay for me, right? I'm happy with it, but yes, there are few things that I could have done better, right? Which is like, for example, maybe if I see my journey, I started with the MNC and then came to the startups, right? It should be the otherwise. You should start with the startup and then go to the MNCs.
And what if you were to shift permanently to a country outside of India, what are the 3 options that you would look at?
Honestly, in between I was considering I should go outside, but then I thought when I was comparing it from the monetary perspective, I found it like India is a good option, right? From the salary perspective, apart from the US, if you consider any other country, I think the competitive salaries are there in India, in Bangalore, and as compared to the purchase power parity and then the growth perspective, I think everything is there. So that's why from those perspective it doesn't make sense, but yes, your quality of life, that matters. Even if you have a BMW here but you don't have the roads to drive it, right? So these things matters, right? In that case, maybe the good place is definitely US is there, then maybe Canada or Dubai.
Currently, the first 2 countries you picked are currently hostile towards Indians, so I guess India was the best choice for you.
Even the countries which is around India, those are also hostile to India. Hardly there are few options in that case.
True. And one last question. When so you becoming a dad, did it change the way you contribute your time towards companies?
It's changed a lot of things, right? When you build a family and then later on, especially being a parent, right, your priority changes. Obviously, and also like the family that needs time, right? And obviously like the time is the resource that you was giving to your professional life. Now you don't have that liberty. What I did is like I created that complete separation between both. I preferred, instead of working from home, right, if I'm working from home, I have to lock my room or maybe the kid would be coming and he might be shouting from the door. So I prefer मैं office चले जाता हूँ, like as much as possible I will finish the work in office, और जब घर पे आओ then like try to not bring your work. हमेशा पॉसिबल नहीं होता, बट एटलीस्ट लाइक ठीक है, अगर मेल्स का रिप्लाई करना है और समथिंग कमिंग ओवर द फोन, दैट इज ओके, बट I try to at least dedicated meetings वगैरह घर से नहीं करूँ.
I guess the point where you said you first worked for MNC and then for a startup, if it was the other way around, I guess the work wouldn't have reached home at all. Or is it?
Startups में भी like when I was not a parent, तब ये होता था कि यार घर से भी, because you try to be as much as more efficient, right? You try to deliver it more. But yes, as I mentioned, like things what you value, right? That it comes with a price tag.
Right.
It's up to your call whether you wanted to buy it or not. If you don't want to do it, that is also fine.
All right. Thank you so much for being on our episode for today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I will share one bonus tip here.
Yes, please.
Like that is, if you are in the startup and like if you have the ESOPs with you, right? And maybe if you are planning something like there is a buyback is happening or the liquidation is happening, you can try out, go somewhere outside, get an maybe NRI account, which is like you can move to the Singapore, and within 6 months, if you are staying there more than 180 days, if you are staying outside country, you will get an NRI account. Then you transfer those funds into the NRI account. At least you need not to pay 35% tax in India. So I know people that who just went for that sake, like getting the NRI account. Ideally, once you are back, it should be like the account should be closed, but that is not happening. And ultimately from Carta, if you are transferring those to the NRI account, you need not to pay the taxes, and then you can transfer to some other your own account.
Got it. Thank you so much for that bonus tip as well, because I think I'll be needing it.
That's good too, right?
Yeah,
good thing.
Yeah. I think I'm going to do the same with my cryptocurrencies as well.
So then the people will know that how much money you have.
Thank you so much, guys. So that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much, Shailendra, for
Thanks
being
for having
here
me
today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.